Hello, everybody. Welcome to SalesIntel's podcast, the series 2 of Pipeline Pioneers, where our objective is to help the community learn from the experts and the practitioners as to how to build the most optimal pipeline that ultimately converts into revenue. As we all know, pipeline is the heart and blood of any organization, and there is a lot of art and the science in building the right pipeline that helps go-to-market leaders hit the numbers. Today, I'm excited to have Sandy Yu with me as our guest. Sandy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Manoj. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so Sandy, to kick things off, why don't you tell the audience about yourself, your business, and how in your role do you help influence or generate pipeline?
Thank you so much. I'm the founder and growth executive for Revenue Retention Advisors, and I help revenue leaders, B2B SaaS revenue leaders, keep the customers they have and get them to buy more. Very simple. I like to think of it as I fix a leaky bucket I help them fix that bucket by reducing churn, optimizing onboarding, looking at how to get growth from cross-sell and upsell. So, generate more of the second order revenue when the primary revenue of net new sales is difficult.
Yeah, that's great. That is awesome. So, we all have limited resources, right? So when you work with these companies, Sandy, how do you help them first figure out who their ICP is, or if they have already determined their ICP, how often do you go and refine or define it? What process do you take to help them?
Yeah, it's definitely one of discovery. Usually when I get there, they already have an idea of what their persona looks like. But I think what I find is that they don't go deep enough. And sometimes they have this mistake of actually having too broad of an ICP.
Yep.
It's not specific enough. I always share, when you are a general things and people think of you generally, but when they really invest, especially in tight economic markets right now, you really need to be specific on the pain that you address. So you might have heard a term, do you want to be a vitamin or do you want to be a painkiller?
Yep.
Right now, companies are only paying for painkillers. And so when you are kind of generally helping, the example, I can give you an example. If you think about a customer success platform versus an application that specifically looks at the value return of the product that you give to your customer. Right now, are you going to invest in this big, broad platform that does a lot of things? Or are you going to invest in this thing that I'm not clear about what value my customers are getting? I'm going to use that application. So that's kind of how I think about ICP. You have to really have a lot of self-awareness, right? Who are we? What does our product do? Are we clear about the value? And then who has the biggest pain with this value? That's how I think about ICP.
That's great. Do you have any data-driven approach that you deploy to say, you know what, bring your last year's close one, or close one, close lost, or last 5 years of data, and let me put them through the model to tell you here's your true ICP.
Yeah, I think that's really, really important for companies that's been operating for several years to actually look back on that data. I'm really glad you mentioned all the one loss, right? A lot of people focus just on who did we win, but there's so many reasons why a company buys.
Yep.
Right. But if you can see, and whether it's win or loss, you want to see the pattern. But you also want to see the pattern, not just in the sale, but also in the marketing.
Yep.
Right. And our product and marketing working closely together. That's one of the things that I ask my client, I help with my clients, is that cross-functional sharing of knowledge and information. So many times, each of these departments, the product team, the marketing, and the sales team, I think of them all as go-to-market. But all of their systems of record are siloed. And so how can we actually get that information? Like you said, what is the one loss? What is the feature that's being used the most? Because that can help inform marketing to say, maybe we should market a little bit differently. Yep. Maybe if we shift it this way, then we can actually be the painkiller instead of a vitamin.
Makes sense. So let's switch the gear to AI. AI is everywhere. We all use AI. When you look at the go-to-market function, especially when it comes to pipeline generation,
yeah,
where are you seeing AI being adopted, and AI being used effectively to help generate the pipeline?
Okay. The most important one that I speak to a lot of CROs and revenue leaders is actually AI BBR, business BDRs,
BDRs, yeah.
right? So they can actually get very, very far and eliminate the need for you to have a real person, right? You can take it so far so they could do all the cold calling, they could even do the demo. So not just record a demo, you actually have an AI business development rep replacing the person. And now if you're working globally, you can have this AI to help you around the clock for free. They don't even need to take breaks, right? And so I think, I think having an AI BDR really helps accelerate, but it's new, right? And so my recommendation is always let's do a pilot. Let's experiment. What is the ROI on it? Is it really as good as your BDRs? And sometimes it is.
That's great. So have you seen successful implementations of AI BDRs? Or do you think still a vision that is not?
I think right now, I personally don't have any clients that have taken the plunge, but it's definitely a conversation, especially in driving pipeline.
Yeah. No,
definitely a conversation that I think that's the hottest one from the clients that I work with.
That's great. That's awesome. Well, now that you got the ICP, you know you're using the AI, right? Your messaging honed in. How do you pick the channels, right? How do you tell or advise your clients, say, you know what, you have limited resources, and here are the channels you should go to generate the pipeline. So I'm going to share a screen with you, and I'm going to give you 100 pennies, where you will get to invest these 100 pennies in different go-to-market channels with the goal to generate the most optimal pipeline. So here we go. You have 100 pennies to invest.
Oh, do you want me to drag and
I
drop?
will drag for you. You just tell me where would you invest.
Before we drag, maybe the first thing is the founders. I think what I said in the beginning still applies. Do you have an idea why your pipeline is drying up? Does that make sense? I want to put my investment. Is our marketing message incorrect? Or is our ICP incorrect? Or is our product not good enough? So depending on what is the area of that's kind of missing, do you know? So it's like, for me to do this is giving you a diagnosis without doing the examination, right?
So let's assume. Let's assume that you got the messaging correct, your product is working, and you have honed your ICP. Now you have 100 pennies to go generate the pipeline. Get that message to your ICP about the product. Where will you invest more? Will you invest more in hiring BDRs? Will you invest more in putting paid ads, or would you invest more in holding events, or would you partnership? Like how would you distribute those 100 pennies?
Okay, so let's say I had all the information that I needed. First of all, I think I would focus on product.
Okay.
So maybe let's do 2 pennies on product.
Product-led growth, yeah.
And then I'd like to have probably 2 pennies on partnership.
Okay.
And I think in order to drive pipeline, you really got to double down on marketing. So 3 on marketing.
3 on marketing, yeah.
And then I have 4 more. I think I like to have, I kind of loop community with marketing. So I'm going to do a double dip there. So I think I like to have 1 in sales and 2 in customers. One in sale, 2 in customer.
Okay. All right. So clearly, your investment is pretty diversified, Sandy, which I love. Marketing, obviously is higher than the sales. Double click for me, like why?
Yeah, because that's the most efficient way if you have effective marketing, you have a life cycle that you're taking your customers through. You create a journey for them to help bring them in. This is why I want 2 investments in product and 2 investments in customer. The customer experience is going to inform us how to actually market to new customers. And then product is going to be the king. It's the actual medicine that's going to be helping solve the customer's pain points. So I think I would put those three together at the very minimum.
Yeah.
And then I think sales is you just need to execute. So I do have to put investment in that, but that's going to be lower than product, customers, and marketing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, let's take a look. So this is how our other community leaders, the average scores, that's is how they have invested their 100 pennies. And now I'm going to overlay your data, Sandy, on this.
I'm over-invested in marketing. I'm not a marketer, I promise.
When you look at this comparison, what surprises you?
I think what surprises me is how evenly the other leaders have invested.
Yeah.
I feel like if you just invest evenly in everything, that's almost like status quo.
Yeah.
So for me, I think if you want to have a breakthrough, you have to do something different.
I like that. I like that idea. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Sandy. We really appreciate it, and I'm sure our community is going to appreciate when they listen to this podcast and take some nuggets from you.
It's been super fun. Thanks, Manoj.
Thank you.